Hello everyone, how are you? Just give us a few moments. I see some attendees still joining in. So just give us a couple of minutes to start the webinar. Hello everyone, welcome to AutoDAP webinar series for Automotive Aftermarket. I'm Pavak Shah, CSO at AutoDAP, and today's topic is Smarten Up Your Parts Catalog. I'm really excited to be hosting this webinar on 23rd anniversary of our parent, the Gateway Corp. And I'm proud that I have been around for 16 years of that great journey. I personally would like to congratulate the founders Neeraj Gemawat, Indrajit Mitra, who is also the CEO of AutoDAP, and Vipin Moharir. I'm also extremely proud that AutoDAP has been recognized by research group Startups Insights as one of the top 5 vehicle data startups impacting the automotive industry globally. They analyzed around 250 vehicle data companies and came up with a list of top 5, and we are very proud to be in the list. So many congratulations to the AutoDAP team and wishes for many more deserving achievements in future. As we all know, smart data is reshaping the automotive aftermarket industry, yet most of the organizations are not able to get expected outcomes from their existing parts catalog and other digital assets. So are you looking forward to enhancing the output of existing catalogs, improve accuracy, reduce parts returns? Then this webinar is for you. To share their automotive aftermarket insights and strategies, to tackle the industry challenges that are there with technology innovations, we have Mr. Valentijn Lintwar, popularly known as Thijs. Thijs is CSE of AutoFacets, has more than 25 years of experience in product innovation and IT product ownership in the European automotive industry. He has managed development of large B2C online consumer platforms and B2B automotive spare parts retail platforms for large European parts distributors like Sator and LKQ. We have Mr. Pradhan, who is the CTO of AutoDAP. Uh, Samir brings 24 years of industry experience in technology evangelism and has undertaken R&D initiatives specifically focused on automotive aftermarket. He has been working with some of the leading automotive aftermarket players, building end-to-end smart automotive parts platforms with integrated repair and service solutions. I'm also proud to say that Samir is one of the brainchilds and one of the initiators of AutoDAP as a service and a company, and has a huge contribution to the achievement that we have received this week. We also have Ms. Hasret Celik. Hasret is Commercial Director of AutoFacets and has over 15 years of experience in international B2B sales for the automotive aftermarket. She has collaborated with international trading groups on a strategic level as a preferred data supplier and worked with many part suppliers in the Benelux, Scandinavian, and East European region. She understands the added value of data integration for parts catalogs and other online solutions, and will be providing her insights today with us. So this esteemed panelists will shed some light on what are the differentiators of traditional and smart automotive parts cataloging. They help us discover how smart data is transforming automotive parts purchase experience and how AutoDAP Daas modules can deliver desired dividends and sustainable business growth for automotive aftermarket players. Of course, at the end of the webinar, we would be glad to share with you the details on how to get exclusive demo access of 50 VINVIS Lookups. This is exclusively for webinar attendees. So please stick around till the end and get the advantage. So by the end of this webinar, you will have a handful of strategies that you can implement in your regular business setup. And we are sure that you will be able to set a new competitive benchmark doing that. The presentation by our host speakers will take around 30 minutes, and we have a dedicated Q&A session after that. I would request you to send your questions in the Q&A window, and we'll take them up during the Q&A session. Right now, I'll just start a small poll for just 1 minute, and if you can just fill up your options over here. You can select as many as you want. So what are the most challenging issues that you are facing right now in your business? And we would like to know if we can be of any help. That responses are being collected. So just give us a moment. Okay, so I'm closing the poll now. So 25% of the attendees feel that right parts identification is an issue. 75% believe that part returns is an issue. 25% would like to know more on catalog management, and 75% believe that digitalization needs to be accelerated. So great. So that's what our attendees are looking for. So over to Thijs, and take us through an exciting journey, Thijs, for next half an hour.
Yes, I will do so. Thank you, Pavak. Nice and interesting outcomes of the poll, by the way. So it's really interesting. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar. The automotive aftermarket industry have been facing major challenges before, and it's of course not this ongoing crisis. We see that solution very often has been the increased IT digitalization, and that's also what we see in the poll. You know, a lot of people want to have an acceleration in the digitalization. It's quite interesting to see. We see that the automotive industry embraced IT, but we still see that there's a long way to go to maximize those potentials. One of the major challenges, of course, within the automotive is an efficient part supply. And this is something I would like to ask to Hasret. In your opinion, you've been working with a lot of these retailer groups. What do you think the major challenges do they face today with their cataloging or their e-commerce platforms?
Well, Thijs, in my experience, the problem begins with being able to identify the right make, model, variant, year, type, and eventually the trim of the vehicle. Yeah, I agree. And I think that due to this structure, this will result in multiple options of available replacement and spare parts in the cataloging, which of course makes it for a mechanic or the catalog user difficult to choose from. Samir, with your experience, what do you think? How can we progress in this?
Well, Thijs, like we all know that in the European aftermarket, all the parts suppliers data is basically aggregated by certain parts consortiums, and these consortiums in turn basically categorize this data based on certain vehicle classifiers and provide this data with parts categories defined by these groups. So that is the main way in which they actually work.
So yeah, I agree. I think the way that you explain that the current digitized web catalogs is they work with license plates, which are being deciphered, for example, towards a vehicle, and that vehicle again is then mapped towards a product tree where you can find the parts. And this is usually, is what Hasret already said, driven by classification on a make or a model or certain years in it. I think that the catalog producers will never consider that to take, for example, the trim or optional equipment into their selections, or even the features which are installed during the process and the production. So is it something you see in the request that we got, Samir?
Yes, Thijs, this is very true. So majority of the product catalogs are based on data which is provided based on make, model, type, variant, and year. And what this does is that for one model, you may have as many as 2 to 6 parts for every system which is there in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Hasret, what is your opinion on this?
I've worked closely with the aftermarket industry, Samir, and I've seen that this causes a lot of impact in managing the cost of ownership and service of the vehicles. So as the same type of vehicle could have a brake disc costing 60 euros, another costing 100. So I can imagine the issue for the parts sellers must be facing in terms of inventory and returns, and the customer in terms of wrong part selection.
Yeah, I think what you're now identifying, Hasret, is actually the major issue. I think where all the parts retailers across Europe where they struggle with. And for them, of course, it's a dream to have, as parts retailer, to have the optimal catalog, which will resolve the issues of the multiple options that are available, making data more precise, making the vehicle selection more accurate. And this would not only reduce the returns, but also I think the overall impact on that customer experience by using the catalog and buy the right time on the first part which you select and go. I think Hasret already mentioned earlier that she's worked quite extensive with the retailers, and we see that those retailers, they have parts manufacturers data which are based on vehicle type and not on that actual configuration. So this is, I think, the precise vehicle identification is crucial, that it's being mapped to that vehicle configuration. And instead of having a long list of possible parts, we need to have a list with only the suitable parts exactly for this specific vehicle. Together with Samir, we have been working on a much smarter way of addressing this inaccurate parts mapping. And the question is really, does a workshop needs to order all possible parts that might fit, or do we have other options for that, Samir?
Thijs, yes, we do have an answer. The answer lies in our AutoDAP's data accuracy platform. Based on our learning from the automotive industry in the past 14 odd years, what we have realized is that it is possible to utilize the VIN number of a vehicle coupled with the build sheet, which basically covers the trim and the optional equipment of the vehicle, to be able to precisely identify the part required for a specific category in the vehicle.
Yeah, I think now a lot of people are very interested in how you do this. So I think, can we show us a bit more? How does this work, Samir?
Yeah. So the way this actually works is that we take a VIN for a vehicle. We utilize the VIN for accurately identifying the vehicle. From there, we get an extended information known as the build sheet of the vehicle, which actually lists out all the optional equipment fitted on the vehicle, as well as all the standard equipment which was there for that specific model type variant. And using this information, then we are able to filter out from a list of parts the exact part which would fit that specific vehicle, rather than like being able to give you 3 or 4 options from which the user or the end customer would have to select the right one. Hasret, what is your opinion on this?
Well, Samir, non-relevant data is often the reason why overordering is taking place. It's by filtering the catalog data with data as a service output makes it possible to get the accurate parts first time right. So this is very interesting. It can reduce the part returns for the sellers.
It's interesting, but sometimes it's not only that you call the overordering due to the fact that there are multiple parts, but sometimes you see that a parts catalog actually doesn't have parts at all. So we call it the so-called white spots in that catalog. And instead of having a white spot, we actually might need to show the OE part number itself. Do we have solutions for that, Samir, to populate the catalog with parts which we currently not deliver, or to have the OE number in replacement for that?
Yes, Thijs, we do have the possibility. We have a Daas module, which is specifically dedicated to basically providing the OE part numbers. And what we can do with that is we can provide OE part numbers for places where we have these white spots. And basically complete the catalog for the end customer, as well as open up new opportunities for the part sellers, because they could utilize this for maybe ordering this parts from the OEMs, or maybe even look at the possibility of telling their suppliers to actually fulfill the gap.
Yeah, I think that's the convenient part. So it's using the data modules as a service that we have developed. We are able to determine the correct part more easily for the mechanic. It reduces the time which is needed for searching the part, but it also makes it possible, because due to the accuracy, the garage actually, if they have a license plate or a VIN, they already know the vehicle VIN specific part before the customer comes in. So that means that actually they can already order the part before the customer comes in the workshop. And I think with this, on the parts distributor side, it's resulting, due to the better quality, into less returns. In fact, that over ordering, as Hasret mentioned, is not needed again. And we see that if you don't over order, so less returns, less handling, less repackaging cost. So this will have a bottom line impact on inventory stocks for the retailers.
Absolutely, and a higher first-time ride means also for the customers a higher guarantee that the car is ready on the same day. Even certain jobs can be done on the same day without a customer waiting or utilizing a courtesy car for the customer. So it seems like a win-win situation for the parts supplier, the mechanic, and for the car owner. On the parts distributor side, there might be less returns due to the fact over-ordering is reduced, which results in less handling and repackaging costs.
Yeah. So let me summarize this piece of dialogue, which is quite interesting. Benefits of using the Daas module, smartening up your parts catalog, as Pavak really mentioned, this is nice. We see overall increased first-time, right-time parts ordering. We see due to that there's a reduction in returns, and also with that logistic handling efforts. It leads to an improved turnaround time. Due to that, of course, an increase in operational efficiency. And I think you're not to be underestimated, the catalog becomes better, and it will have a better customer journey simply due to a higher level of accuracy. So that impact is not only on the order process, but it's affecting, I think, the overall efficiency of the platform, the e-commerce or the catalog platform, and which is critical for a sustained competitive advantage. We have been talking and implementing this with customers, and we see that 75 to 80% parts reduction in returns is happening by the cause of that. So you see a direct impact on that bottom line. With these benefits in mind, I would like to introduce you the AutoDAP and the services that we have, and some details around the AutoDAP platform. The AutoDAP platform is a data as a service platform which have modules, and these modules are available for parts retailers, IAM, aftermarket workshop concepts. They are being used in used car part dismantler tools, crash repairs taking advantage, and especially on the fleet, insurance, and leasing companies. We see high demands on VIN accurate data. These data modules are available on a monthly subscription base, and they currently we cover more than 40 brands. I think Samir will cover that later a bit more. We cover the European car park. We focus on the regions UK, Europe, and Nordics, but of course other regions are considered on request or in the nearby future. The AutoDAP Daas modules, they are available for precise vehicle identification, including the link towards the OEM build sheets, OE numbers, as we have discussed before, but also detailed repair and maintenance information, which is being VIN specific. AutoDAP is next to these platforms. We're also having solutions, and we're creating solutions around artificial intelligence-driven damage assessment tools using the cloud computing and even virtual dismantling. But also we have a product information management tooling solution. Integrations that we deliver as AutoDAP are possible in your homegrown solutions, but also into commercial platforms. And it can be done by simply consuming web services which have JSON responses for the tech nerds on the Microsoft. With these outcomes, you can actually optimize this into the further processing or put it into your workflow. Samir, can you show us a bit more in detail or demo the modules that we've mentioned during this conversation?
Yes, sure, Thijs. Let's start with some information on the details of some of the modules that we discussed. The first module being the VINVIS, standing for VIN to Vehicle Identification System. It has two sections. One section known as the basic data for the vehicle, where we provide the basic information of the vehicle identification, covering all the way from the VIN in the vehicle to the the platform code, the model year of the vehicle, the date of manufacture, items like color for the exterior, interior, roof, information on the trim, body type, engine, transmission, fuel, and additional information covering stuff like the wheel, rim types of the vehicle, the tires, the tire brand that was fitted on the vehicle at the time of delivery, additional information pertaining to TPMS, information on the dimension sheets like the exterior dimension, interior, the tow weight of the vehicle, the boot volume of the vehicle, and the number of doors, etc. in the vehicle. Additionally to this, we also provide information pertaining to the emissions and performance standards for the vehicle, covering both WLTP and NEDC, and have both NOx and CO2 available based on the availability from different manufacturers. The next thing that we have available is the extended vehicle data or the build sheet of the vehicle. And the build sheet basically covers information in three categories: standard equipment, optional equipment, and ADAS equipment. The standard equipment basically covers information pertaining to the suspension, shock absorbers, brakes, battery, alternator, steering, windshield. So basically what it does is it tells you the information which is there in the standard vehicle. Plus, it tells you like what is the specific variant of that standard information which is fitted on that vehicle. The next thing is the optional equipment. This tells you the trim pack of the vehicle. It gives you information pertaining to the infotainment system the vehicle may have. Does it have a tow hitch? What is the kind of an infotainment or telematic system it has? Does it have a connected pack? Does it have systems which will allow you to do a home connect? Does it have a system which allows you to manage the seats automatically or not? Does it have LED lighting or laser lighting? So it gives you information pertaining to that, which actually determines lots of accessories as well as company fitted parts in the vehicle. And finally, the ADAS, which is the new piece of things which impacts things like the windshield, impacts things like various kinds of bumpers, or for that matter headlamps, which would be utilized in the vehicle, because you would have sensors pertaining to this available in that. And it tells you like, does it have a rain sensor, lane assist, park assist, pedestrian alert? Does it have a HUD? Does it have a collision protection sensor? So it gives you information pertaining to these things. The next piece which is there is the VIS OEP platform, which we talked about, or the VIS OEP module. This VIS OEP module, as like what was pointed out by Thijs, fills in the so-called white spots in the catalog. And to fill up the white spots in the catalog, what it does is, like, based on the vehicle, the specific VIN of the vehicle, we try to provide you with different information pertaining to OE parts. They are all normalized, utilizing something known as the OE group ID in our system. And this provides you OE parts information pertaining to OE part numbers, the description of the OE part, any alternate or succession parts that could be utilized. And this basically helps you then eventually to fill in the gap between the OE system and the OES platforms which are there. Next is the brand coverage. So Thijs mentioned that we cover 40 plus brands. To be precise, now we are covering 43 brands, which almost managed to cover around anywhere between 85 to 92% of the car park coverage based on different regions across Europe. Now I will actually take you to through a small demonstration.
Yeah, we'll see some live data. Interesting.
Yeah. And I will try and show you some live data on that.
It's quite detailed.
Yeah, and when we save the money, we go to this island, right?
Yeah. It's quite detailed, Samir, that you showed us the information out of VINVIS, for example, that you even have the new WLTP standards values in it. And I like the ADAS system because that's something which is quite accurate or quite, yeah, how do you say it? Actual today to see all the technology in the car. Can you do the repair or not?
Yes, and it is also very important. Like, for example, when you're looking at windshields, like I can quote a particular example. Like there's Audi A4 2007, and I could find 17 different windshields for that one single car model.
Yeah.
And thanks to the ADAS information, we were able to figure out the exact windshield which would actually work for that car. So it does make a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Now let me try and show you a demonstration using our data sets that we have. So I will pick up an Audi, and we look at the kind of data information that is returned for the Audi. So we have the basic vehicle information, including the vehicle identifiers, like the KBA number or the WVTA number. This basically tries to give you the exact model of the vehicle, tries to tell you the exact engine code, the exact transmission code. It gives you information pertaining to information like the exact date of manufacture for that specific vehicle. Post this, we have the dimension data. The dimension data covers the actual dimensions, the exterior, interior dimension, the weight of the vehicle, the towing capacity of the vehicle, the kind of trailer it can actually pull. It also provides additional information pertaining to the total trunk volume of the vehicle and what kind of door systems it has. The next information piece which we have is something called the WLTP and the NEDC standards. This gives you the WLTP and NEDC fuel consumptions. This can also at times provide you the NOx this thing of the vehicle. Additionally to that, it also gives you the vehicle performance index. Post this, we have the main section, which is the build sheet. The build sheet basically tries to give us all the information pertaining to the build of the vehicle. This basically tries to provide us with information like what is the exact, like equipment which is fitted on the vehicle. So if I really look at this and this out here, so this is basically telling us like what is the type of the brake which is fitted into this vehicle. What is the front brake and what is the rear brake for this vehicle? And I will now actually skip over to a slightly different system, which basically gives the same information, but in a format which will actually more conducive for the understanding piece. So if I look at this specific model of the vehicle, so this Audi Q5 basically has three types of front brakes available for it: a 338 millimeter, a 318 millimeter, and a 350 millimeter. From this system, we are able to actually figure out that the one which will fit this specific vehicle, thanks to the information provided in our system, is the 338, which is highlighted in blue out here. Same way for the back, it has got two kinds of brake discs available, a 330 mm and a 300 mm. And the one which will fit this specific vehicle is the 330 mm. Same kind of information can also be very helpful in things like the brake system. So we know what is the brake system, the battery system for the vehicle. So here we know what is the battery system for the vehicle. So this has a battery which is 420 amperes and 75 Ah. It also tells you what is the exact alternator which is fitted in this specific vehicle. So if I really look at the same Q5 model in the OEM catalog, I will find that there are 5 different alternators which are there. And it is telling us exactly which is the right one. This also applies to things like suspension. So if I look at suspension, for example, like this has a long list of suspensions available out here. So 7 different types of suspensions for the vehicle. And the correct one is listed out here as the sports suspension with equipment code 1BV. So it will make sure that we know the right shock absorbers for it. We know the right springs, the lower arms, upper arms for the vehicle for actually the repair. Not only the repair, but also for the possibility of getting the right parts in the right time.
Yeah, here you're not buggered with all these options on sport suspension, and you get really the one which is being fitted on this vehicle.
Yeah, sure.
I think a very good demo.
Yeah, over to you, Thijs.
Yeah, I think a very good demo. So I really like it. Thanks, Samir. It's good to show because always talking about services on what we can do is actually show what we can do, because then you see, and I think this example is a good one, multiple shock absorbers, but we don't need 5 sets. We need that one which is applicable for this VIN number, which is really crucial. Samir, thanks for the information. Pavak, over to you.
Yeah, that was a fantastic session. I'm sure everyone got a lot of insights, and I'm sure they have a lot of questions. So I would really want if there are any questions which are there that anyone wants them to be answered. Let me just go through the questions. We have some really interesting questions right over here.
I see one of the questions which is asked is about the JSON response. So what is the JSON? For the techie guys under us, that it's a way of implementing the web services. They give a response in an XML, or it is the language which you can use for integration in your homegrown or in your solutions. So guys can handle this easily. It's an open format. It's a standard within the IT.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
there's a question.
We have another question. Which languages are supported in the platform? Currently, we support all the Nordic languages as well as French, German, and Dutch. And we are also working towards being able to support other European languages like Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese, to be followed with Polish.
Yeah, thank you, Bernard, for that question.
I believe we have a similar question also from Eric.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have a question from Patrick, which says, how would you measure the win request in this case? So how do you look at lookups is what he is asking. So basically, we have an API driven service. So each API calls that you make is a different lookup. So if you have same win that you are looking up 20 times, it will be counted as 20 lookups. So yes, that's how we count our lookups. Then there is another question from Philip. Says PR number EQ code data is only available by some parts manufacturers, and that too only for certain OEM brands. How do you intend to manage this data for other manufacturers and additional OEM brands? Samir, would you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. Well, the data has been over the past, at least last 1 year, we have seen that the coverage of the data is growing more and more for the EQ codes or PR codes across different parts suppliers in the European aftermarket. But even without that, we have been able to devise certain scripts which we can actually run on existing data sets to actually improve the coverage level and provide EQ code based coverage even for other brands as well as across multiple part suppliers in the market based on configuration information or the attribute information of the parts.
We have a question from Nicola. Do you provide normalized data sets for service parts with OE part numbers filtration based on VIN and EQ codes?
Yes, we do have a specific section of our VIS OEP service, which under a specific category for service parts provides you normalized data across all brands, grouped by something called a OE group ID, which we have created. And it allows you to basically get all the service part information, including lubricants, the other replacement parts like filters, spark plugs, glow plugs, as well as all the wear and tear parts in a vehicle, like the brake disc, brake pads, clutch plates, pressure plates, etc. for the vehicle.
Okay. So Nicola also has another question. He's asking on the vehicle lookup coverage available for the time period. So for what years is the lookup coverage available? Is it available for all the years or only for a certain time period?
Well, our coverage starts post 1998. Although we may have at times data before that, but then relevance is more post 1998. And for some brands like FCA, the coverage is there post 2006.
Okay, okay. So I hope that answers your question, Nicola. Great. I do not have any further questions over here. So thank you all for asking some interesting questions, but you can always get in touch with us and drop an email to either pavak@autodap.parts or marketing@autodap.parts and ask your questions, anything that you want clarified. Now is the time where I ask you to send me your name, your company name, and your designation and your official email address. If you can email that to us, because some of you have not filled it up in your registration form, and that's the reason I have to ask for that. So if you can just provide me with these details and email it to marketing@autodap.parts, we will be glad to be in touch with you and provide you with the demo portal access by next midweek. So please email it to us as soon as possible, and we'll be in touch with you. It gets you access to 50 VINVIS lookups. So take that advantage. Try out our service and see if you have any queries. We'll be glad again to get on calls with you to walk you through the demo portal itself and answer any queries. So thank you all. Thank you for attending our webinar. And my colleagues and I would look forward to speak with you soon. Feel free to email us at marketing@autodap.parts and we'll be in touch with you immediately. We also have team members spread across entire Europe, so wherever need be, we'll also be able to provide you with local support. So thank you all, and have a nice weekend, and take care.